Hello, I'm Matt.
I'm Sonja.
And welcome to Our Life the Show as we take you back to the decade of the 2000s. Now, we were thinking, and I'm sure a lot of people think this, what is the best year of your life? Like, if you could put yourself in a time capsule, what year would you want to go back to, you know? And me and Sonja, we settled on different years, obviously, mostly because of age differences and whatnot. But we basically settled, for better or worse, in the decade of the 2000s. And we decided we're going to do an episode talking about our respective personal years, our choice for our best years of our life, or at least what we chose from that, as well as the 2000s in general, what was in, what wasn't, stuff like that. But before we continue, as I have been trying to do, I'm telling all you guys we make some great content here. We make a variety of stuff. Sonja has Shop With Me's. We have Let's Plays. We have this stuff, if you even are into this. But regardless, if you guys like anything we do, please subscribe. It would help us out a lot. But without further ado, let's get into what our personal picks for our favorite years of the 2000s are. Or our favorite year of our childhood life, whatever. So, as always, I'll let you start here. So, what year was your choice?
2007.
What was special about 2007 to you?
The music. I met new friends. I don't know. I can't really explain it. It's a happy time. The music was awesome. And I guess I was going into high school.
For me, it was the year 2002. And honestly, there was a lot of similarities here because 2002, the fall of 2002 is when I went into 9th grade, if I'm not mistaken. My brain sucks. I could be forgetting. But for me, like growing up, I didn't have many close friends or anything like that. I know that sounds pretty lonely, pretty depressing, pretty sad, whatever you want to say. But 2002 is when I really got that group of friends that started becoming like my regular inner circle. On top of that, there was a lot of things that happened that year that I guess shaped the way that the rest of my life played out a lot. A lot of my interests really took off then, like pro wrestling and video games. There was a lot of great games, speaking of that came out that year. A lot of my music taste kind of got its start around then because of my friends. And I just remember just generally having a great time all the time. It was one time I didn't feel like I was complete nobody and all alone in school. So that's why I like that particular year.
I was going to say 2007, that's I think the year I became me as today, interest wise, music wise, and just my personality, I guess, grew. I mean, it makes sense because getting older.
maybe it has something to do with the fact that both of us were kind of in the transition year between when we were in middle school and when we were in high school. Maybe that has something to do with it. But who the hell knows? All I'm going to say from here, though, is we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into a couple different sections here about some things that were our favorites from the decade, and in particular, maybe the year that we're specializing in, I guess you could say. So, without further ado, let's, do the transition there. Real quick, before I get into what my favorite games were from this year, video games, let me point out the fact that we didn't talk about our outfits, and I think that was worth talking about. See, we wanted to do something that was reflective of, I guess, our style in the 2000s. Not necessarily our particular years of 2002 and 2007, but the...
I'm just like that.
You are just like 2007?
2007 onward.
Mine's probably more closer to 2003. I know mine looks plain, and really there's nothing much to it. I'll kind of try to show it off. I don't know how well it'll look.
Red polo shirt!
So, my actual style in the 2000s, was unfortunately very ugly. I had wore some big gross orange shirts that made me look like a basketball.
Or a pumpkin.
And I also wore Hawaiian shirts. I was trying to do a Hawaiian shirt for tonight, but I have none left in my wardrobe that I can find.
Are you sure? I don't think you looked in the right drawer, because I think you still have one.
I don't have the magic looking ability that you do, so I can't find things that are magically missing. So I went with this shirt because this shirt, even though it's the wrong color, is representative of what I used to have to wear in high school when I lived down in Louisiana. See, in Louisiana, they had school uniforms, and I'll kind of show a picture here to display what the uniforms are supposed to look like. But I don't have a blue polo shirt anymore, so I went with this red one because it was the closest thing I had. I also don't have khaki pants anymore, go figure, so...
Who the fuck wears khakis?
That's part of the uniform. It looks... The Jake from State Farm look, if you switch that shirt from red to blue, which, I mean, I did the opposite, whatever.
Yeah.
If you switch that shirt from red to blue, that would be the school uniforms down there. So yeah, this is my 2000 style, at least for all of high school, because I couldn't show individuality in Louisiana in any way, shape, or form. But Sonja, go ahead.
Well, my style's not much. This is the Almost shirt. I did get this at the Warped Tour from this episode. My hair, I'd either straighten it or just leave natural. Eyeliner. And I would wear a beanie all the time if I could, but our school didn't let us wear hats. I mean, that's most schools. You're not allowed to wear hats, which is stupid. But yeah, this would basically be my look with jeans, skirts.
Well, now that we got that explanation out of the way, even though you guys were probably thinking we were just wearing random normal clothes like we always do, let's get into video games, which for me, this was a huge year. Because the Nintendo GameCube was popular. On top of that, there was...
Vietnam flashback?
No, I have to go. On top of that, there was the fact that I was being introduced to a lot of series and a lot of games I've never played before. So my original pick for Game of the Year, because I was kind of looking to see what games were released in 2002, by God, that was one hell of a year for gaming. If you want to look up the list, go ahead, but there was things like Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, Super Mario Sunshine, a bunch of Time Splitters 2, a bunch of other games. For me personally, I was going to say Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, which did release in 2002, but it released in 2002 in Japan. In America, we didn't get it until the next year. I didn't even really know much about it until the next year, probably. So, my game, the best game for 2002 itself, would be Metroid Prime. And for obvious reasons, I don't even have to really go into it. If you know anything about the Metroid series, anything about Metroid Prime, you would know that that game, even today, has aged really well, if you ask me. Especially visually, because while I think the Xbox was known as your graphical powerhouse back then, that game, to me, looked better than anything on any of the other consoles when it came out. And on top of that, it was the first-person perspective, but doing the Metroid thing at the same time, which was different from any other first-person shooters or first-person games that were released around that time. And I just have a lot of fond memories of playing the game. I love the Phendrana Drifts theme music. It's very relaxing. I still listen to it today.
Every Metroid music's good.
No, the music was absolutely outstanding. But there is one caveat I want to mention here with this before I let Sonja go into her games, which she looks like she's annoyed already, so...
I am not. What? I'm just looking at you.
And that is that while I love Metroid Prime, I did not play that in 2002 because I didn't actually own my GameCube until maybe the next year. I think I owned it in 2002, but I think I got it for Christmas. My game of the year, because I was playing this constantly that year, was actually Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, which I've mentioned previously about why I like that game in a different episode, I believe. But I actually got my PS1 the previous Christmas, as well as that game. And I played the hell out of it for the first few months of the year at least. So, but yeah, those are my 2002 games of the year. 2000s itself was really awesome. But go ahead, Sonja. I'll let you go because you'll probably will come into that.
I think I'm more into... Well, no, that's not true. I was going to say I was more into games now, but I wasn't. Because when I was a kid, well, middle school age, I used to play Double Dash all the time because my brother had a GameCube and we'd play Time Splitters 2 and stuff like that. That was probably around 2002 all the way to like 2006.
Well, Time Splitters 2 was 2002. I don't know when any of the other games in the series were released, if there is any. Honestly, I'm not familiar with the
series.
series.
So, in 2007, I just went to Game of the Year. They had down Portal, and runner-up was Super Mario Galaxy for 2007.
Now, Super Mario Galaxy is great, and Portal's great, so 2007 was probably an okay year. I don't know what else came.
It had quite a bit. What I wrote, I wrote Twilight Princess for the Wii. I know it came out in like 2006, but 2006, 2007, because it was like Christmas on until like January of 2007. My brother had it on the Wii, and he showed my dad, because my dad really liked wolves, and he was showing him that, and my dad got really into it, so I'm counting that for 2007, because it was a big thing.
It's kind of a cheat, but hey, I didn't
it's not really cheating, it's just a year later. It came out in 2006. Yeah, not the original, because it's on GameCube, but it still counts because it's on the Wii.
I don't really know what the original was in this game. It did come out first on the GameCube, but I think... I don't know. They were developed at the same time anyway. So
probably came out in 2004, 2005. It probably came out like a year. But my Metroid Prime 3, I wrote down. My brother loved it. He's a big Metroid fan. I only seen parts of Metroid Prime 3. That's like the only one I don't really know much about. But between Twilight Princess and the other game, I would say that I personally liked was Sonic and the Secret Rings, not wings, rings, on the Wii, because they had like it was a fun game, main game, but they had a side game that was kind of like Mario Party. Not the shitty version they have in the Dreamcast. This one was like actually good, and the mini games were just as good as the Mario Party ones. But yeah, me and my siblings played the crap out of that, and it was really fun. So yeah, I'd just have to say Twilight Princess and Sonic and the Secret Wings. What was it? Wings?
Secret Wings again? No, Secret Rings.
Okay, this is the problem. I wrote Secret Wings. I think it was Rings. My bad.
It
my
is
bad.
Secret Rings.
Yes.
Secret Wings. Sonic just chowing down on some buffalo wings while he's trying to save the world.
But yeah, that okay.
But throughout the rest of the 2000s, I mean, for me, I got into a bunch of different series then. Dragon Quest 8, phenomenal game. I can't remember which year it came out. Metal Gear Solid 3, that was another big one for me. Halo 3, I used to play the shit out of that with some friends. So
Halo 3 came out in 2007. Because when I looked it up, that's what it was.
Yeah, but I'm not just talking about 2002 now. I'm talking about the whole 2000s, because I mean that's kind of what the episode is, the whole 2000s also. But so gaming, I think, and it was definitely the nexus point, the 2000s, because it went from more of the local co-op and local multiplayer to online gaming itself being like a massive thing. To me, that's why I think the 2000s, at least in gaming, is probably more relevant than the 90s. The 90s had a lot of great shit, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I definitely have a lot of great gaming memories from then. Alright, well, moving on from games, now we're going to talk about some of our music taste. Quick reminder also, before we get into the music, I know I keep doing this stuff, make sure to tune in. I can't remember the fucking date, but it'll be down there anyway. We are going to be celebrating our 1-year anniversary here on YouTube as we react to some videos and just basically take a look back at our year in review. So make sure to join us here on June as we celebrate that. Anyway, into our music taste, I am going to let Sonja start here because I know she has probably an encyclopedia over there.
I do not. I wrote down some of the stuff. Like I said, 2007 was my favorite because of music, and I really got into a lot of my interests around this time. I just Googled best albums or best rock albums that they had. They had it as Led Zeppelin, Mothership, and runner-up was Radiohead, In Rainbows.
Led Zeppelin had an album come out in 2007?
Apparently, because I saw 2 sources, and that's what they said. So, yeah. So I'm like, whatever, I don't listen to those. Anyway, I listened to a lot of Under Oath, obviously, Seosin, and The Almost, which is what my shirt says. Like I mentioned in our last video about concerts and stuff, Define the Great Line came out in 2006, I believe. It might have been 2005, but I think it was 2006. But the videos and singles came out in 2007 were You're Ever So Inviting and A Moment Suspended in Time. Seosin, same thing. I think their album came out in 2006, but the singles and videos came out for It's Far Better to Learn and You're Not Alone. You're Not Alone, the music video played all the time in 2007. So, yeah, and Voices. Voices was one of my favorite songs, too. So, the other things that I wrote down is just, like, some of the other, like, emo big bands came out, like Riots by Paramore, that album. Mayday Parade's A Lesson in Romantics. The Starting Line had Direction. The U's, Lie for the Liars. The Almost came out with Southern Weather, which is the drummer from Under Oath, Aaron Gillespie's other band. In Defense of the Genre by Say Anything. Scream by Tokyo Hotel, one hit wonder.
I don't know who they are.
They're German. They could not speak very much English. And that was the only album they did. I think it was kind of like a Milli Vanilli kind of thing. But they could... Instead of having just two guys and different voices, I think they just used a lot of auto-tune.
I mean, it got popular around the end of the 2000s, so...
Yeah, and the last one I have is For Those Who Have Heart by A Day to Remember. I used to listen to this a lot on my Zune from my brother, so... And that's what I got for Sora. But yeah, it was basically the big emo genre, and... Yeah, it's really good music.
Oh, I kept mine a lot more simple. In my case, even now I don't have much of a taste in music because I don't know, I just don't like a lot of music.
Boo.
But the CD for me, the single album that probably held the most esteem in 2002 would be Korn Untouchables, which was probably one of their best albums to date, and one that I listened to a lot, before I got plucked out of my car.
Oh yeah, you got stuff stolen from me.
Yeah, I used to have a decent little CD collection, at least of the music that I liked, but all those CDs got plucked out of my car someday while I was on vacation, and had to basically restart everything with that, but whatever. So yeah, I used to listen to Korn Untouchables, used to mosh to, what the hell is that song? Here to Stay. Sorry, it took me a second. Used to mosh to that with a couple of friends at school dances, which we were not supposed to do. But 2002, not just with Korn. Actually, Korn was probably one of the few bands I was into prior to 2002. I got into a lot of different bands that I hadn't heard before, at least up till that point, like Disturbed, Slipknot, Rob Zombie. I got into all of those bands around that time, and that's kind of like the catalyst of my music interest, is all them. Metallica became a big one for me, not necessarily in 2002, but the 2000s, which is arguably not one of their better periods of time, but even so, that's when I got into it. And yeah, most of the music that I listened to then is still music I listen to now, because the 2010s, I haven't really... Besides one band that I got into in the 2010s have been pretty much devoid of anything that I've really cared about. So, even from bands that I like. But yeah, that's our taste of music from that time period. Going into our next segment, we're going to talk about fashion and fads, which is something that she's going to talk about a lot more than me because I neglected to do much research on this personally.
Well, I wanted to do more to talk about it. That's the reason I didn't.
But if you're wondering why we did games and music but not movies, shut up. Don't worry about it.
Movies didn't pop into our head.
Yeah, we didn't think about it, but whatever. Let's go ahead and talk about some fads, Sonja.
Alright, well, the first one, everyone knows this. I mean, they made a comeback a few times. Skinny jeans!
Ugh.
I mean, these were popular back in the freaking 70s with rock bands. I mean, David Bowie, Rolling Stones. Like, everyone had Freddie Mercury from Queen. All of them had tight leather pants, but and jeans, too.
As you can tell from my current taste in fashion, as well as, I don't know, just how much of a curmudgeon I am about everything. I don't do fads, and skinny jeans definitely wasn't one of them. I still think they're stupid.
Yeah, well...
I mean, they're fine for, certain
women.
people. I didn't want to say that because I know people will get offended if I say it's fine for women, but I don't know. They look stupid on men, I think. So.
Well, it's funny, though. Skinny jeans, I think, went away in the 90s because everything was baggy in the 90s. But 2007 brought them back, and they are here to stay because there's still lots of skinny jeans. Lots of skinny jeans in stores today. And guys like them. The second most popular is year-round scarves. You know how emos wearing scarves all the time? Yeah. I was not part of the scarves thing because I didn't really have one.
Was that actually a thing? I never saw it.
Yeah! Look up freaking emos from 2007. You'll see.
I didn't see that ever. And I worked in a convenience store in 2007. Not to date myself about how much older I probably am, but yeah, didn't see much of that. Dog collars and shit like that, yes, but...
This one, not as much. I've seen some, but wide headbands, that's what they mentioned.
The fuck are those?
Just, really thick, headbands that women would wear, or, they put it on... You could wear it on your forehead like that, sweatbands and stuff like that. You can Google it, I guess. Guy liner or eyeliner, but guy liner a lot. V-necks. Deep V-necks. A lot of people like emo bands or...
Another thing that I'm sure I'll get flack for because people are dicks. I'm a bigger dick. But anyway, it's another thing I don't think guys should wear, especially if they have a fucking hairy-ass chest. Nobody wants to see that.
I don't think many wear them much. It was more popular with, guys who are very confident, because sometimes the V-neck would go, way down, deep. But mostly band members would wear them, All Time Low, some of their people, Dance Gavin Dance, I think.
But even them, who wants to see their hairy-ass chest?
They didn't have hair. They were, skinny nobodies. Not, some of them had hair, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Or they would shave it. I don't know.
I mean, let's just get into that, right? All right. Yeah. Does that do anything for anybody? All right.
Another big thing besides V-necks were vests. Vests were huge in this era. I don't know why.
Were they big with the prep type people or?
No. Rocker types. Bands would wear them. Shane Dawson back in 2007.
Oh, okay. We're really pissing people off now. We don't talk about him either. Yeah, I definitely was under a rock. I don't have anything from the 2000s that I remember that were fads except for, I guess, the resurgence or the emergence of cell phones, if that counts as a fad. And that really isn't a fad because it held on much longer. But when I first saw a bunch of people with them, I'm like, why the fuck do I need one?
Well, the thing with
I'm still like that.
Something with a vest, too. Sometimes they would wear just the vest, and most times they'd wear it over a t-shirt. But yeah, it was a lot. I think the guy from We the Kings wore it. I don't know. A lot of band people wore it. These ones don't really count, but I wrote them down. Chunky highlights and gaucho pants. That's kind of early 2000s.
Okay, chunky highlights. Let's flare that thing back up on the screen there. I showed this off before, but I actually had...
that's more early 2000s.
I actually had that type of hair, and man, did I regret it. I look terrible.
I crossed this out, but I'm going to add it again. The thing said wide-ass belts. I'm like, huh? And I guess they had some pictures, one was... Sorry,
I was playing with my beard, and I'm trying not to.
One was, Beyonce. One, I think, was, Kim Kardashian or something. But I was more studded belts and jewelry, bracelets and necklaces. But I guess when I looked up that wide belts were a thing back then too for women. And obviously, this is how they worded it. Swoopy, floopy hair. Other known as scene hair or the Justin Bieber or Zac Efron hair back in the day. Swoop. And with women, it was side bangs, but some guys had side bangs too. And this one... Crocs, and I think Crocs came about 2005 to 2007. They're everywhere.
I think Crocs kind of faded, except for where we are.
No, they did not.
I don't know. Do people still wear Crocs? Let me know. I don't know. I feel like that's a thing that was popular then, but then people realized what's the point of having a shoe with a bunch of holes in it. But
I think around this time is 2006, because I think that's when my nephew. My nephew. Well, no, my nephew.
I mean, what the fuck are they even made out of? Like gym mats?
I don't know. They were I don't understand how people can wear them. They're uncomfortable. There's like little dots or like I don't know. The texture inside the boot. The texture inside the shoe. I don't know. It hurts my feet. I think they're really uncomfortable. I only wore them to like go outside for like a few seconds, and that was like the only pair I ever had. Was like in 8th grade.
All right, so we did have one other segment planned, and we'll get to that in a minute. I hope you guys enjoyed this little flashback romp we had through the 2000s. Anything you want to add to this before I go into what I was going to say next?
All I was going to say is, let us know what your favorite year was. 2007, still best.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody, this is something I feel a lot of people can relate to. There has to be that one year that you look back and like, God damn, I wish I can go back to that year. Just even for a few minutes. And that's basically where this whole idea came from. But to close out, one of the things I wanted to do with this episode is to recreate some sort of popular activity from the 2000s. And when I looked into this, I didn't find anything we could actually replicate well on camera. So instead, I'm going to go back to the turn of the century, the turn of the millennium. And we're going to actually, on next week's Our Life the Show, on next week's Our Life the Show, we are going to go ahead and we are going to play Perfect Dark, which was released in the year 2000. Now, one catch on this is I do plan to actually play this on stream on twitch.tv/thatnincooPooDude. I know it's a long name. It's down below. It'll be linked below as well. Not sure when we'll play, so make sure you follow us on social media so you guys know when we'll go live. But the replay will be up here next Friday. So, without further ado, that's it for this week's Our Life the Show. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And we will see you next week with some Perfect Dark.
I'm bringing the Roaring 20s back.